Second World War, a lot of people never got justice. So I don't think we have the luxury of saying that without justice, there is no more life. We just have to live our lives as best we can and hope for justice and maybe campaign for justice, but not make it a condition of moving on.
Yeah. And how do you see that after 20 years, the tensions remain high between Kosovo and Serbia? Do you think that it has taken too long? There is a process of dialogue going on, but still two sides are very far away for normalization of relations.
You know, interesting question. I mean, most countries, most of the time, do not accept guilt for what they have done. There are some exceptions. Perhaps the most significant modern exception might be Germany, where after the Second World War, they were really pressed with messaging that they did something wrong. There were war crimes trials, and German children were brought up in school and told about the concentration camps at Auschwitz and what had happened. But that doesn't usually happen. It didn't happen in the Soviet Union after the Second World War. The Soviet Union could have done no wrong in the Second World War. Nobody ever talked about the victims of Stalin. And it doesn't, you know, it doesn't often happen. And I think in Serbia's case, they haven't taken a lot of responsibility for what they did, not just in Kosovo, but also in Bosnia. At this point, what do you do about that? I think you probably have to work with it, because imposing it from the outside is very, very difficult. Now, you can incentivize certain behavior. If they want to join the European Union, maybe you can encourage them to do certain things. But yeah, it's been 20 years, and sometimes it does feel here as if the war has just finished. It's a very, very difficult balance, this thing about honoring the past, respecting the past, learning about the past, and moving on and moving forward with your lives. And again, this for me is where Ömer Deliu and the Deliu family have been so remarkable and so dignified. They respect the past and they remember the past, but they also continue and live on today. Yeah. And in some ways, they're recovering slowly.
We see that still in Kosovo, the northern part, there is like divided society, if we can say that. Like the Kosovars and Serbs are finding hard to coexist with one another. Do you think that is possible in a near future, that both communities will coexist and will live a normal life?
I mean, I think things change slowly, but they do change. I mean, as you know, there are, I think, now more Serbs living outside the northern enclave in Kosovo than there are in the northern enclave. And maybe community relations with the Albanians are not great, but, you know, I went to Gračanica last time I was here. There's no more KFOR. There's no, if there are, they were barely visible. People are getting on with their lives. You know, is there some kind of reconciliation that is slowly getting better? I don't know. I'm not quite sure. Maybe not. And maybe that's too much to hope for after something so dramatic. Maybe it does take time. You know, even in Northern Ireland, it takes time. It takes a long time. Sometimes it takes a new generation to come through. What's going to happen? We'll have to wait and see. You know, in Ukraine, this war with Russia is forming the basis of a new Ukrainian national identity. Things are changing. That country is becoming, it's kind of almost the birthplace of modern Ukraine. I went to Kharkiv in the north a year ago and everybody spoke Russian to me. Now everybody speaks Ukrainian. You know, identities develop and identities change. But in terms of looking into the future, I think you have to be very careful what you predict. Predictions are